industry is a great example of what happens when the regulator changes his mind frequently and fast. So fortunately, it doesn't affect the health insurance business at the minute. But if you look at the life insurance industry in India over the last 2 years, I think they've undergone a very, very harrowing time with extensive changes on first the ULIP product, where the regulator imposed all kinds of restrictions, rules, regulations surrounding the product. Not that the rules were made incorrectly. I do feel that the rules do help the products become more customer friendly and do offer better value for customers, but it's the speed of change, the manner of change, which resulted in the insurance industry actually shrinking for almost a period of 18 months. And now we have the same issue that the regulator has raised with regard to the other set of life insurance products, which are labeled the traditional plans, and we are likely to see very similar kind of restrictions, rules, caps being imposed on commission, etc., on traditional products. Again, the insurance industry is just about recovered from the shock of the first set of regulatory changes, and has the life insurance business today, I think for the first quarter, has started to show some positive movement. But again, they are faced with an issue where the regulator might change the operating environment completely. So that is the reality of India, and many of our regulators are going up the learning curve very quickly, sometimes too quickly. There is a lot of pressure on the regulators, and I've had experience with the Reserve Bank of India, obviously with my years with HSBC, as well as with SEBI, when I used to run the Invest Direct or HSBC Invest Direct operations, and of course now with the insurance regulator, the IRDA. RBI tends to be a lot more, for want of a better word, I would say stable. They've been around a long time. They've been around for many years, 70, 80 years. They're well established. They understand what they're doing. The Banking Regulation Act has been in force for many years, and they've had a fantastic track record of managing the banking system in India as well as the economy. And I think the pace of regulatory change in the Reserve Bank tends to be quite slow, because their agendas are also quite limited, because it's a well-established industry. I can't make the same comment of either the insurance regulator or the securities regulator, and I wouldn't say any more than that. In terms of the other market changes, clearly India is a reasonably volatile place when it comes to things like interest rates and currencies. And many corporates have got very badly burnt with foreign currency loans, for example, a couple of years ago. Many banks got into trouble. Many banks got sued and were accused of mis-selling. Many banks had criminal cases filed against them in various courts around the country. So there was a whole range of companies that got into very serious trouble because they did not understand the type of risks that they were signing on to when they were either getting into borrowing money in different currencies, and some fairly small companies borrowed in fairly exotic currencies. So they did sort of try, and I guess the banks at some stage are also responsible for not educating them properly or sensitizing the boards properly with regard to the extent of risk that enabled. And also there were sold fairly complicated foreign exchange contracts, which resulted in many cases in companies almost going bankrupt. So I think we've already seen in this country over the last 3-4 years what happens with currency risk, and the rupee tends to be very volatile, and not just now. I think if you look at the history, the rupee has always been a very volatile currency, and that creates a lot of challenges. Sometimes it makes your losses look less as the rupee depreciates rapidly, if you're in a business like mine, which is in the first few years of an insurance industry. There are other sort of things which affect India. Clearly the pace of growth has been slowing down. That has impacted many sectors. Also, I think there has been a lot of other positive developments as well in terms of growth. I think certainly over the last 10 years and perhaps over the last 5 years, there's a lot more money in rural India. And Western Union, for example, I'm sure their domestic product is probably going to gain significantly from that sort of growth. And we are also working as a health insurance company in rural India. And some of the changes that are taking place in rural India are truly remarkable, truly remarkable. It's not just the sort of often criticized transfer of money that the government is doing through the employment guarantee program. That's not the only change. I think more fundamental changes are being caused in the market because of road connectivity. I think this was a dream of the BJP Prime Minister, Mr. Vajpayee, who wanted to connect all the villages.